Hi, this is Dr. Todd Kays coming to you from my office in the golf room. And today I want to talk about how we need to have a process focus versus an outcome focus. And I'm going to use the analogy of an app. We use apps every day, and that has and is a perfect analogy to a process focus versus an outcome focus. Now in golf, it's one of the things that I hear about all the time. I wish I did not think about the outcome so much. My score, making the cut, I have to get this birdie, I have to make this 3-foot putt to save par. All of these outcomes that we think about, well, one of the things they do is they create anxiety, they create stress, they create tension, they create shallow breathing. Well, what do you think that does to your swing? If your body's tight, if your heart is racing too quickly, if your breathing is shallow, well, you're not going to be able to perform to your skill level. You're not going to be able to have that fluid swing that you did when you were in the hitting bay, that you did when you were hitting on the range, when there was no consequences, because you were just thinking about the process. And I'm not saying that this is easy, because we want to win. We want to make cuts. We want to get into the 60s. We want to get into the 70s. Whatever your goal might be, we want to win the club championship. We want to make it on tour. We want to win a state championship. We want to go to regionals or nationals as collegiate golfers. All of those things are great. Those are what motivate us to work hard, to do the 6 a.m. workouts, to sit for hours upon hours putting. But one of the things we're missing is we're not training the mental process. And I want to compare this to an app. An app has, any type of app. There's sometimes apps that programmers have spent hours upon hours just to get them up and running. And what happens? They work. So, for example, a map. One of the apps that you can use on your phone is you type in an address, you type in a place you want to go, and all of a sudden the app shows you how to get there. Or if you want to communicate with someone, one of your friends, you bring up Snapchat. You type your friend, boom. He or she's got the message. Now again, those apps have been built and you just press them, you implement them and go. But those have been prepared for hours, months, sometimes years to get them to where they'll be. And they're always updating because they have constant bugs and fixes that need to be brought in. They need to be brought up to current date. The same thing for your mind. If you want your mind to run like an app, a reliable, consistent app, you've got to practice. And one of the things I want you to practice and put your focus on is the process. The process is the most critical piece. The process is where you need to put your focus. The outcomes will simply be a byproduct of your ability to keep your focus on the right and effective process. So that's so important that you train yourself to do that. So one of the things that's important that you do is before you go out and practice, before you go out and play, you need to have a process focus, such as tempo is at 65%. Grip pressure with the putter is at a 4 out of 10. All kinds of different what we call process focus. And a lot of times I try to make it a game within a game. So you might have your scorecard and you're keeping your score obviously, and maybe how many greens you're hitting, maybe how many putts you had. But I want to challenge you to, on every single scorecard, every single practice, that you have a process focus. And it's almost a game within a game. So let's say your process is simple as I want to have a 4 on my grip pressure every single putt. And so after that hole at the bottom of the scorecard, let's say you two-putt, and if you did it both times, okay, then you get a 2. You get 2 points. And the goal is to maximize and keep your focus on that process, because that process will bring about more and better outcomes. And thinking about a process does not make us nervous, does not make us scared like it does when we think about outcomes and what our coach might do, or what our parents might do, or what somebody else might think about us, or how we look out there. So, one of the collegiate golfers who has, had a rough spring, but this summer, we've really decided to turn it around. And one of the things that his process focus is simply to smile over every shot. And so at the end of every hole, his job is, if it's a par 4, and let's say he pars it, his job is to put how many times did he smile over the ball. That's the process focus, and I want him to get that as high as possible, because the higher that goes, the lower his score goes. Because one is, he's focused on a process that will help him in his game, and he's also simply focused on a process, not an outcome. You cannot think of two things simultaneously, an outcome and a process at the very same time. Now, that does not mean you won't think about outcomes as you're playing, but you will get better and better and better at focusing in on the process the more you do it. And I can guarantee that you, provided you're keeping up with the body and the skill, your game will get better. So process focus. Come up with some process focuses for yourself. Keep track of those. Keep score of those. Have fun with it. Challenge yourself with it. If it's how many times do I go through my pre-shot visualization? After every hole, add it up. Because again, the more you do it, I can guarantee you're going to hit better shots and your scores are going to be lower. But it's, again, just like an app, it takes years to build, and you always have to do it to continue refining it, updating it, getting it better. So if you want your mind to work just like your apps do day after day after day, you've got to train it and prepare it just like the programmers do on an app. This is Dr. Todd Kays. I'll see you next time. If you want anything more about upcoming programs or services or products, just go to drtoddkaysgolf.com. I'll see you next time.